Good morning, I am Daniel Chibuye with the American Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the 2022 Economic Outlook Panel discussion. We wish to thank our good sponsors, Coca-Cola and PwC, for hosting this event and making it possible. We thank Latitude 15 Hotel also for opening up their premises to allow this event to take place. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this panel discussion that has been organized by the American Chamber of Commerce here in Lusaka, Zambia. We are in a brand new year, 2022, and per Amcham tradition, we're very delighted to have a conversation on what the year will look like. So what's the economic outlook for 2022? My name is Humphrey Mulenga, Managing Partner at Deloitte. And to help us unpack this very important topic, I'm joined by three panelists. Starting off with Andrew Chibuye at the far right. Andrew is Country Managing Partner at PwC. He's a fellow of our institute here, Zika, but also a fellow of the SECA. He holds a master's degree from Manchester Business School, and he has many years' experience in providing audit and assurance services. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Next to Andrew is Bernadette Zulu from the Policy Monitoring and Research Center, a public think tank. Bernadette is actually currently pursuing a PhD. She has served in various units at the African Union, but also sits on various boards within government. Welcome, Bernadette.
Thank you very much.
And lastly but not the least, just next to me is Dr. Austin Mwape. He is a former deputy governor at the Bank of Zambia, where he spent just short of 30 years actually, in very senior positions in various portfolio there, Central Bank. He's also the current chairperson at ABSA, a preeminent bank locally here. Before then, he was a chairperson of the board at Stanbic, and he holds a PhD from the University of London. Welcome, Dr. Mwape.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Yes, so maybe to set the scene and just to kick off, what I propose to do for us to just do a quick, have a quick discussion on the macroeconomic, environment at a very high level. So touching on how this panned out, the indicators panned out last year in 2021, and maybe using that as a linchpin to see how that might pan out in the coming year. So if I kick off with, say, GDP, Andrew, many pundits projected that last year was going to be a year of recovery for the Zambian economy. And actually, if you look at 2020, GDP shrunk by 4%. In 2021, according to the Minister of Finance in the budget speech, he thinks there'll be a recovery of about 3.3%.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on how we performed from a GDP perspective last year?
So obviously the GDP was challenged, obviously coming from a contraction in the previous years, fairly slow growth and activity for various reasons. The pandemic obviously exacerbated Zambia's already existing economic challenges. Those challenges largely driven by the debt situation, fiscal deficit, and a few other factors that obviously came together to form a fairly challenging cocktail of factors. So the year itself, I think, is almost split into two if you look at what was there. I mean, underpinning the sort of a number of people actually think the economy would have actually performed a lot worse than it did, because most countries, when they experience a sovereign default like we did, you often see an economy fall off the cliff. That didn't happen in our case, and that was something which was actually quite heartwarming and pleasant, despite the challenges that we had. And there's obviously the price of copper that was fairly elevated throughout the year. The deterioration of the currency obviously did have an impact, but when you think about that then providing additional support to the treasury in terms of those flows coming through in foreign currency, Those are obviously positives. You then see a situation where, especially post-elections, I think elections is also a factor that plays into the dynamics of any particular country. If you think about uncertainty, there are various decision makers who would say, look, we'll wait and see what happens. Post-elections will then start to move when we know the direction within in which the country is going. So you then see, and I think looking at some of the statistics, that post-elections, once we were clear where we were going, you start to see an acceleration of economic activity. I think the statistics show that in Q3, GDP was actually fairly strong in terms of coming back. Some of the statistics, like the Purchasing Managers Index, which shows the level of activity that corporate entities are actually undertaking, actually was in the positive sort of territory. So I think all in all, not too bad an outcome given the circumstances. The challenges are still there, and obviously there's a question about whether that growth rate is sufficient to have a tangible impact on the common man on the street. So I think that's the story really of where we're coming from a GDP and economic growth perspective.